When giants cast shadows, the morning Earth began like any other. Coffee shops opened their doors, children walked to school, and the orbital defense platforms continued their endless patrol around humanity's homeworld. Nobody expected the sky to crack open and rain down judgment from the stars. Commander Elena Vasquez was reviewing patrol reports when the alarms began screaming. Her coffee mug shattered on the floor as she sprinted to the command center. The massive displays showed something that made her blood freeze. Ships, hundreds of them, each one larger than Earth's biggest space station, hanging in formation just beyond the moon's orbit like dark angels waiting to deliver punishment. "Report," Elena commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around her. "Lieutenant," Torres looked pale as death. "Commander, we count 847 vessels. The smallest ones are 3 times larger than our dreadnoughts. The big ones," he swallowed hard, "the big ones are the size of cities." Elena studied the tactical display. The alien fleet stretched across space like a wall of metal and death. Her own forces looked pitiful in comparison. 12 cruisers, 38 destroyers, and maybe 200 fighters. It was like bringing kitchen knives to fight dragons. The communication system crackled to life. The voice that emerged spoke perfect English, but every word dripped with cold contempt. "Primitive inhabitants of the third planet. I am Overlord Krex of the Galactic Dominion. Your species has been judged and found wanting. You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally. Your military will be dissolved, your weapons destroyed, and your population relocated to appropriate work facilities. Resistance will result in total extermination." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Elena looked at her officers. These were good people. Veterans who had served humanity faithfully for decades. They deserved better than this hopeless situation. "Admiral Thane," she called to her fleet commander. "Status of our forces?" Thane's weathered face was grim. "All ships are ready for combat, Commander. But against those numbers..." He didn't need to finish. They all understood the mathematics of destruction. Elena walked to the large window overlooking Earth. Billions of people down there were going about their lives, unaware that their freedom hung by the thinnest of threads. Children were playing in parks. Lovers were making plans for the future. Scientists were working on projects they would never complete. "There's something else, Commander," Dr. Sarah Chen interrupted her thoughts. The lead scientist looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in days. "We've been monitoring unusual energy signatures from the Kuiper Belt. Deep space sensors detected massive power fluctuations 3 days ago." Elena frowned. 3 days? Why wasn't I informed? "Because we thought it was equipment malfunction. The readings were impossible. Nothing we've built could generate that much energy." Sarah pulled up a holographic display. "But now, with the alien fleet here..." Before she could finish, Captain Jake Morrison burst into the command center. The veteran pilot was breathing hard, his flight suit still smoking from a recent patrol. "Commander, we have a problem. The aliens aren't just sitting there, they're deploying something. Massive structures between us and whatever's happening in deep space." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "Show me." The main display shifted to show the alien fleet's movements. Dozens of the smaller ships were spreading out, creating a defensive perimeter. But they weren't facing Earth. They were facing outward, toward the edge of the solar system. "They're afraid of something," Elena realized. "But what?" Admiral Thane asked. "We don't have any assets that far out." Dr. Chen's hands were flying over her console. "Commander, I'm detecting a transmission from the Deep Space Monitoring Station. It's using old military encryption, code patterns from the Titan Project." The Titan Project. Elena's blood went cold. That name was classified, at levels so high that even she barely knew the details. A theoretical weapons program from decades ago that had been shut down and buried so deep that most people believed it was just a rumor. "Put it through," she ordered. Static filled the speakers for several long seconds. Then a voice emerged. It was human, but changed somehow. Older, tired, but filled with grim determination. "This is Deep Station Prometheus. We have been monitoring the situation. Titan protocols are now active. All Earth forces, prepare for phase transition. The waiting is over. The transmission cut out, leaving everyone staring at Elena. She realized they were waiting for her to explain something she didn't understand herself. Before anyone could speak, the alien fleet began moving. The massive ships that had been hanging, motionless in space, suddenly accelerated toward Earth. Weapon ports opened along their hulls like hungry mouths. All ships battle stations, Elena commanded. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. The human fleet moved to intercept, but it was like throwing pebbles at an avalanche. The alien ships opened fire first. Beams of energy lanced through space, turning two of Earth's destroyers into expanding clouds of gas and metal. The return fire from the human ships barely scratched the alien armor. Captain Morrison's voice crackled over the communication system from his fighter. "Commander, their shields are adapting to our weapons. Whatever we hit them with, they're learning to counter it." Elena watched her forces being systematically destroyed. The aliens weren't even using their full strength. They were toying with the human fleet, demonstrating their overwhelming superiority. Another cruiser exploded in silent fury. Good people were dying, and she was powerless to stop it. "Commander," Dr. Chen called out, her voice filled with excitement and terror. "Deep space sensors are detecting massive energy buildup. Something's happening in the Kuiper belt." The tactical display shifted to show the outer edge of the solar system. For a moment, nothing was visible except empty space and scattered ice chunks. Then space itself seemed to bend. A shape began to emerge from what looked like empty vacuum. At first, it was just a shadow, a darkness against the stars. But as it moved closer, details became visible. It was a ship, but unlike anything humanity had ever built. The vessel was enormous. Not just large, but incomprehensibly massive. It dwarfed even the biggest alien ships, like a whale among minnows. The hull was black as space itself, covered with armor plating that seemed to absorb light. Along its length, weapon ports glowed with barely contained energy. "Dear God," Admiral Thane whispered. "What is that thing?" Elena stared at the impossible ship. "That's the Titan." The alien fleet had noticed the new arrival. Several of their largest ships were turning to face the human battleship, their weapons charging. But something was wrong. The alien formations were breaking apart, ships spreading out as if they were afraid. Overlord Krex's voice filled the communication channels, but now it carried a note of uncertainty. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself immediately. You are in violation of Dominion space." The response came from the Titan itself. The voice was human, but it carried the weight of decades and the promise of violence. "This is Commander Marcus, Webb of the Terran Deep Fleet. You are in violation of our home system. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences." Elena felt her legs go weak. Marcus Webb had been her mentor, the man who had taught her everything about space warfare. He had died in an accident 15 years ago, or so everyone believed. Impossible. Admiral Thane breathed. The Titan project was shut down. The ship was never built. Dr. Chen was studying her readings with wide eyes. "Commander, that ship is registering power levels beyond anything we've ever seen. The energy output it's comparable to a small star." The alien fleet opened fire on the Titan. Hundreds of energy beams struck the human battleship. Enough firepower to destroy a moon. But the Titan's shields held. More than held. The beams were absorbed, redirected, turned back against their sources. Then the Titan fired back. The weapon that emerged from the battleship's main gun wasn't a beam or a missile. It was something else entirely. Space itself seemed to twist around the projectile, reality bending to accommodate its passage. When it struck the lead alien ship, the massive vessel didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, matter converting directly to energy in a flash that briefly outshone the sun. "Jesus Christ," Captain Morrison's voice came over the radio. Did that thing just delete an entire dreadnought? The alien fleet was in chaos. Ships scattered in all directions, their orderly formation breaking apart. Several smaller vessels collided in their panic to escape. Overlord Krex was screaming orders, but his commanders were too terrified to listen. Elena opened a communication channel to the Titan. "Commander Webb, this is Elena Vasquez. Is it really you?" The response was warm, carrying echoes of the man she had known. "Hello, Elena. You've done well, but now it's time for the old guard to take over." The Titan began moving toward the alien fleet. Despite its enormous size, it moved with impossible grace, sliding through space like a predator, stalking prey. The alien ships tried to maintain distance, but the human battleship was faster than it looked. "How is this possible?" Elena asked. "The Titan project was theoretical. The technology didn't exist." "It didn't exist then," Webb's voice replied. "But we've had 15 years to work on it. 15 years in the dark between the stars, building something that could protect our home when the time came." Another alien ship tried to attack the Titan. This time the battleship didn't even bother to fire its main gun. Smaller weapons along its hull tracked the target and released bursts of coherent energy. The alien ship's shields collapsed instantly, and its hull began to dissolve like ice in boiling water. Elena realized that the tide of battle had turned completely. Her own forces were regrouping, inspired by the arrival of the impossible ship. The alien fleet was in full retreat, but the Titan wasn't letting them escape easily. It pursued with relentless efficiency, picking off stragglers with casual precision. "Commander Webb," she called, "what are your intentions?" The pause before his answer was long. "We're going to do what should have been done long ago, Elena. We're going to show the galaxy that humanity is not prey." The Titan's main gun was charging again, building up energy that made space itself glow with potential violence. The target was clear: Overlord Krex's flagship, trying desperately to reach the edge of the system. Elena watched as the weapon fired. This time the effect was different. Instead of destroying the ship, the beam seemed to wrap around it, holding it in place like a fly in amber. The massive alien vessel was trapped, helpless in the grip of technology that defied understanding. "The real war starts now," Webb's voice carried across the void. "But for the first time in decades, I think we might actually win." From ashes, legends rise. The Titan hung in space like a black monument to human ingenuity, its massive hull casting shadows across the captured alien flagship. Inside the command center of Earth's defense station, Elena Vasquez stared at tactical displays that showed impossible things. Her former mentor, supposedly dead for 15 years, was alive and commanding a battleship that shouldn't exist. "Commander Webb," she called over the communication link. "I need answers. The families of your crew think you're dead." The entire project was classified beyond top secret. "How?" The response came after a long pause. Webb's voice carried the weight of years spent in isolation. "Elena, some sacrifices are made in the light where everyone can see them. Others are made in the dark where no one knows they happened. We volunteered to die for Earth 15 years ago. We just didn't die the way everyone expected." Dr. Sarah Chen was analyzing the energy readings from the Titan with growing amazement. "Commander Vasquez, this ship is using principles we don't understand. The power core is generating energy through controlled matter-antimatter reactions. But the efficiency rates are impossible. They're getting more energy out than they're putting in." Elena studied the data streams flowing across her screens. The Titan wasn't just a bigger version of human technology. It was something entirely new, built on discoveries that conventional science said were impossible. Captain Morrison's voice crackled over the radio from his fighter patrol. "Commander, the alien fleet is regrouping at the edge of the system. Looks like they're calling for reinforcements. We're detecting at least 3 more fleets jumping into nearby systems." Elena felt her stomach drop. 3 more fleets. Even with the Titan, they would be outnumbered hundreds to 1. "Commander, Webb, are you monitoring these reports?" "We are." Webb's voice remained calm. "Elena, I need you to understand something. The Dominion has conquered most of the galaxy through fear and overwhelming force. They've never faced real resistance. But they've also never faced humans who had 15 years to prepare. On the main display, Overlord Krex's flagship was being pulled toward the Titan by invisible forces. The alien commander was screaming demands and threats over all communication channels, but his ship was helpless. Elena could see smaller vessels from the Titan approaching the captured flagship. "What are you doing to their ship?" she asked. "Learning," Webb replied simply. "For too long, we've been on the defensive, reacting to alien technology we don't understand. That ends now." Dr. Chen looked up from her console with wide eyes. "Commander, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Not from the aliens, from us. There are more ships out there." Elena's heart started racing. "More Titans?" "Negative, different designs, but using similar technology. Commander Vasquez, I think there's an entire fleet hiding in the dark." As if summoned by her words, space began to shimmer throughout the solar system. Ships materialized from what had looked like empty vacuum. Not just one or two vessels, but dozens. Each one was different, built for specific purposes, but all carrying the same impossible technology. Webb's voice carried a note of pride. "Elena, meet the Deep Fleet, 15 years of human engineering built in secret shipyards in the void between stars. We've been waiting for this moment." The new ships were beautiful in their lethality. Elena could see destroyers that moved like dancers, cruisers that bristled with weapons that bent space itself, and carriers that launched fighters made of light and fury. But the most impressive was a ship that dwarfed even the Titan. "Dear God," Admiral Thane breathed. "Is that a planet killer?" "That's the Prometheus," Webb answered. "Our answer to Dominion siege tactics. Elena, I need you to coordinate with Earth's fleet. We're about to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity's home." The alien reinforcements were arriving. 3 massive fleets materialized at the edge of the system, their ships spreading out in battle formation. Elena counted over 2,000 vessels, each one capable of destroying Earth's entire defense force single-handedly. But now the odds were different. The Deep Fleet moved with perfect coordination, ships that had trained together for over a decade. They spread throughout the system like a web of death, using tactics and technology that the aliens had never seen. Overlord Krex's voice filled the communication channels, but now it carried naked fear. "Impossible. Humans are a primitive species. You build slow ships with weak weapons. This is not possible." Webb's response was cold as space itself. "You underestimated us, Overlord. That was your first mistake. Your second was threatening our home." The battle began with the aliens firing first. Thousands of energy beams lanced across space. Enough firepower to shatter worlds. But the human ships weren't where the targeting computers expected them to be. They moved through space in ways that violated physics, phasing in and out of normal reality. The return fire from the Deep Fleet was devastating. Weapons that the aliens couldn't identify tore through their formations. Ships that had seemed invincible were reduced to scrap metal in seconds. The Prometheus fired its main gun, and an entire alien fleet wing simply vanished, matter converted to energy in patterns too complex to follow. Elena watched the battle with growing amazement. Her own forces were coordinating with the Deep Fleet, their conventional weapons suddenly becoming effective as the new ships provided targeting data and shield harmonics. It was like watching a chess master play against children. "How is this possible?" she called to Webb. 15 years ago, we couldn't even build ships that could travel faster than light reliably." 15 years ago we couldn't, Webb agreed. "But we had a secret weapon the aliens don't understand. Human desperation combined with human ingenuity. When you know your species might not survive, you find ways to break the rules." Dr. Chen was studying the tactical displays with growing excitement. "Commander, the alien ships are using the same basic technology they've used for millennia. They improve incrementally, but they never innovate. They've become complacent. The alien fleets were in full retreat now, but the Deep Fleet wasn't letting them escape. Human ships pursued across the system, picking off stragglers and gathering intelligence from captured vessels. Elena realized this wasn't just a battle. It was a harvest. "Commander Webb, what happens after this? The Dominion won't ignore the loss of 3 fleets." The pause before Webb answered was long. "Elena, the Dominion has ruled through fear for thousands of years. They've convinced the galaxy that resistance is futile. But today we've shown them something new. We've shown them that humans don't know how to surrender. The Titan was moving toward Earth now, its massive bulk blotting out stars. As it approached, Elena could see details that defied belief. The ship wasn't just made of metal and circuits. Parts of it seemed alive, growing and adapting in real time. "My God," she whispered. "What did you build out there?" "We built hope," Webb replied. "Hope wrapped in armor and armed with the fury of a species that refuses to die quietly." The battle was over. The alien fleets were destroyed or scattered. Earth's orbital space was clear except for human ships and the debris of Dominion vessels. But Elena knew this was just the beginning. Captain Morrison's voice came over the radio, filled with wonder. "Commander, you should see the view from out here. The deep fleet is beautiful, like nothing we ever imagined humans could build." Elena opened a channel to the entire system. "All ships, this is Commander Vasquez. Today we proved that humanity cannot be conquered. Today, we showed the galaxy what we're capable of when we fight as one." The response was overwhelming. Voices from across the system, human crews celebrating victory, alien survivors requesting mercy and something else. Transmissions from distant stars. Other species that had been conquered by the Dominion, now asking if the impossible stories they were hearing could be true. Webb's voice cut through the chaos. "Elena, the real work starts now. The Dominion will send more fleets. They'll try to destroy us before word spreads too far. But we're ready for them." Elena looked at the tactical display showing the deep fleet's positions. Dozens of impossible ships, each one a testament to human refusal to accept defeat. "Commander Webb, how many others know about the deep fleet?" "Just us and now you." "Elena, I need someone I trust to coordinate between Earth's forces and the deep fleet. The old ways of doing things are over. We're not just defending humanity anymore. We're liberating the galaxy." The weight of it hit her all at once. They weren't just survivors of an alien attack. They were the beginning of a revolution that would spread across the stars. Every species that had surrendered to the Dominion would hear about today. Every conquered world would know that resistance was possible. "I accept," Elena said simply. "Good, because we have a lot of work to do. The Dominion thinks they rule the galaxy through strength. They're about to learn what real strength looks like." The deep fleet began spreading throughout the system, taking up defensive positions around Earth and its colonies. But Elena could see they weren't just defending anymore. They were preparing for something bigger. "Commander Webb, what's our next move?" The answer came with quiet determination. "We're going to do what humans do best, Elena. We're going to prove that the impossible is just another word for something we haven't figured out yet. The galaxy is about to learn what happens when you make humanity angry." In the distance, the Titan's weapons were already charging again, preparing for battles yet to come. Earth was safe, but the war for galactic freedom had only just begun. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the conquered species of the galaxy had something they thought they'd lost forever. They had hope.